was like the tale of two careers here at Clarion. He was a multi-year All-American at different positions, Harlan Hill Trophy nominee, that's like the Division II version of the Heisman, PSAC Player of the Year. He rushed for 17 touchdowns his junior year. That was a record that Mickey Catello held for a long time. So think about that. 2,350 yards rushing, 27 rushing touchdowns, 109 catches for 1,172 yards. And he was also a dynamic punt and kickoff return specialist. 6,272 all-purpose yards. I present for induction Alfonso Hoggard. I'll start with you like I started with Barb. How does it feel to be back?
It feels great. This is, it's like second home for me. So I enjoy coming back every year, and I never miss a beat. I feel the love and respect. So again, just a second home.
And now with family.
Yeah, it's nice to enjoy this moment with my family. So it's awesome.
Of course, you're from Philadelphia. You went to Caravel Academy over in Delaware. And we talked about this. I didn't know this when we talked. And you talked about, Westchester was sort of like your number one choice. Bloomsburg was like number two. Even Slippery Rock was in there. And things didn't go down that direction. Just talk about that recruiting process a little bit, and then we'll come around to how you ended up getting to Clarion.
Yeah, so I wasn't highly recruited, athlete coming out of high school.
Talk up into your microphone.
Yeah, I wasn't highly recruited coming out of high school. We had a great high school team, so it was easy to get kind of, washed away with all the talent we had. But I still knew that I can play this game, football, and I really, really wanted to, show that I can, play football and do the best that I can. So as I was, going through the process, I was still throwing my name in the hat with a lot of schools out there, like, Rich said, Westchester, Bloomsburg, even Kutztown. But they were all shutting the door in my face. They were just telling me, you can try out, you can come out in the spring. And
You're too small.
Too small, pretty much, yeah. So I was hearing that all day, and the one that really stung the most was the Slippery Rock visit. My best friend, one of my, best friends, we both had dreams of playing, football together in college at the next level from high school. So him and I went on this Slippery Rock visit, and, we enjoyed it. We loved it. And they wound up offering him a scholarship, and they told me the same thing. They said, hey, we're not looking for someone in this position. Come try out in the spring if you really want to go ahead and try. That stung, because I knew that, my best friend and I, we come from the same program, same caliber, of player. And, from that moment on, it was just a chip that I had on my shoulder to just prove that I belong, playing football.
You had a coach who was from Clarion, who reached out to one of the staff members here. Talk about how you ended up getting to Clarion.
Yeah, so my high school coach, John Smith, Smitty, they call him. He's also a Clarion football alumni. As I was going through the process, he was seeing that there was no traction, with some of the schools that I was putting in. And he had a great relationship with Durish, and they had multiple conversations, and I don't know what the conversations were, but John Smith must have been very, very convincing, because Durish was willing to come down, sit with us, and ultimately offer me. So that was the transition, the John Smith, the Dave Durish, that pretty much solidified my journey coming to Clarion.
You're naturally a running back. you get to Clarion. Obviously, you have great success your first year as a freshman as a wide receiver. What was that like, switching positions? I know you wanted to play, and then while you're talking about that, talk about how you trained before you came to Clarion.
Oh, yeah. So we'll talk about the training first because that came on the heels of, again, getting shut down from all these schools. So I had that chip on my shoulder. I wanted to prove these schools wrong, and more importantly, I wanted to prove myself right. I wanted to prove that I belong, in a football uniform, and prove that I can do it at a high level. So after going through the whole recruiting process, I remember to this day, I graduated in May, and I must have trained, the hardest that I've ever trained, May to August before coming on campus. And I was lucky to have a good friend of mine. His father was our maintenance man at the high school, and he happened to be a great, trainer as well. So I begged him every day. I said, hey, listen, I'm getting ready for college. Could you just get me right? Can you get me ready for the college season? And I trained twice a day. I had a job at the school. I would wake up 6 in the morning, work out, go to work, and then I will work out in the afternoon as well. And going through that process, it built, a mentality of just, falling in love with the process.
So when you got to Clarion your freshman year, you were ready.
Yeah, I was pretty confident in my abilities to a certain degree. You're still coming in as a freshman. You don't know what to expect. I had a lot of people to thank to help pull me along the way and teach me the ropes of how to be a collegiate athlete. But I had confidence in my abilities. I trained hard, and again, trusting the process, I trust my training. And I knew I had a little bit of butterflies, coming in, starting as a freshman. But I knew if I trust my training, everything will work out.
Now, you always wanted to be a running back. 2 years a wide receiver and making a great contribution was great, but not as great as toting the pigskin. So tell them how you worked your way into being a running back.
So if anybody know me, my teammates over there, they know I spent a lot of time in the coach's office. And what happened, a good friend of mine is Eddie Mack, he had to take a semester off in the spring in order to come back to do his last, fall season. So while I'm in the coach's office, coach's room, I can hear the chirp, hey, we need to add some depth into the running back room. Who are we going to switch over? Who's going to play? What are we going to do? And me being around, the coaches, and I used to nudge Dave, and I said, hey, come on, that's my position, I could do this, come on, let me play. And it started out with a little chuckle here and there, and, once springtime came, they would give me a few plays here and there, and a few plays turned into a little package, and then before you know it, a series, and by the time fall come back, Eddie comes back, before I know it, we're splitting time in the backfield, and from that moment on, I never looked back. I was ready to take the keys.
Over 1,000 yards rushing both your junior and senior year. But your junior year was fantastic. The team was 8-3, 6-1 in the West, and of course you make All-American. Talk about that junior year. Was there a special game or anything in there that you remember? There's a couple I remember, but I'll let you go ahead.
Junior year was very memorable. Every game, I think we battled to the wire. Again, 8-3, should have been in the playoffs. We're not going to talk about that. But great season, game-winning touchdown against Mercyhurst, one of my best rushing games against Slippery Rock. But some that comes to mind, and actually I don't know if it was junior year or senior year, but I remember the IUP game. I was just talking to my buddies about it. It was their homecoming. We go up there, and our fans traveled well that game. I remember that. The stands were, amazing, electrifying, and we're up by a touchdown, 14-7, I believe, and it's 4th down, 4th and 1, and a minute left, and we had to make a decision. You either go for it, milk the clock, and win the game, or punt the ball to IUP, who had a high-powered offense, and see where the ball landed at that point. So we decided to go for it. 4th and 1 on our own 30-yard line, and we called one of our favorite plays. Coach Dorsch might know it. Was it facts or? It was facts. Okay, all right, yeah. So one of our bread and butter plays.
Thanks, Dave.
We called that. They hand the ball off, and a first down turned into a touchdown, and 70 yards later. So. From that moment, the crowd was, going wild, and I mean, just the fashion and how we won that game on their turf, their homecoming, spoiling it. Sorry, Joyce, but it was a great moment for us.
You, of course, were a well-liked player, but you had a sort of affinity for the offensive line, didn't you?
Yes, yeah. They know. We used to have a special saying. It was O-line or no line, and they all know what that means, because without them, I wouldn't be sitting up here today. And I always, pay my respects, to the people that helped me get here. And yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, Mike Moore and Gerald Hudson sitting over at the table over there. They did some blocking for you.
Yeah.
Of course, you graduated and tried arena football for a while. How was that?
That was good. That was a good experience, learning how to be a professional, learning, again, it's another level, coming to college, you got to learn how to adapt, and then going to arena football, it was a whole new ball game, learning, essentially a different sport, playing on a 50-yard field, everything's so confined, and but it was a good journey. It was a good moment. I developed a lot. I learned a lot, and I had a great time playing arena ball.
Football's over. You come back here to Clarion to get your MBA in 2015, and just talk about how that's shaped your life from then to now.
Yeah, well, initially the MBA program, or coming back to get my master's. It initially wasn't on my radar. It wasn't something that I was, looking for. But, there was a, opportunity of a lifetime that just presented itself to me, with a graduate assistant program, and room and board was very affordable, and, I just couldn't turn that down. It was a much needed next step for me in my career. It definitely helped propel my, career where I'm at today, to make sure that I can help take care of my family.
Some final thank yous and recognitions before we recognize you for the final time.
Yeah. As always, got to thank God first and foremost, to make this all possible, to bring us all here together. Thank the committee. I appreciate you all. Thanks for this, tremendous honor, to be considered one of these, great athletes. I thank you. Got to thank my wife for help getting me dressed today, so I appreciate you, baby. Oh, and by the way, happy birthday, baby. I love you. Yeah. Got to thank my parents. My parents, they've always encouraged me to, strive for greatness, and, always strive for better, and put me in the right positions at the right time. And again, I got to thank the Hartley family, because they single-handedly are the reason why it was possible to come back and further my education. And got to thank my teammates. I can't name all you. I don't have that much time, but I got to thank all my teammates, my coaches, and last but not least, I want to thank every faculty member that I came across, just the community itself, and ever since I stepped foot on this campus, you all have done nothing but, showered me with love, so I appreciate that. Thank y'all.
One of the most exciting football players offensively that Clarion's ever had, Alfonso Hoggard. You know, you'd think that being such like a small running back, I've had so many coaches, including my brother, who's been coaching for almost 50 years, talk about how all the coaches really underestimated Alfonso. They thought that during the game that he would wear down, and he wore defenses down. So, again, congratulations.